Much everyone, and I'm really excited to be here. I've seen a lot already, just going around and looking at what's happening here. I think that first there is I think that there's a revolution that's gone on completely unnoticed in this country, and it's really incredible that so much has happened, and we almost missed it for very long. But some of us have somehow put our ears to the ground, because I've been sort of following a bit of what has been developing, a bit of what has been happening. But even my following, I see that it's been very, very small indeed. I just simply have missed out on all that's going on, and there is so much that's going on. It's incredible, just even here today. I mean, I've come across so many different innovations, so many creative ideas, and just listening to 3 here today, I mean, it's absolutely incredible that all of these things are happening, you know, from the bee farmer to policy and all of that. Policy, what's that called? Policy engine, you know. I mean, that really is something else. And the forensic man who is listening in on conversations, the Boko Haram and herdsmen and all of that. That's really going to be, I think that a lot of this work is very, very important work. And there is a need not just to encourage those who are working now, who have all these ideas, or the other 8,000 odd people and several others who are out there. I think maybe the bar is too high, you know, maybe because obviously we can't deal with everyone. Perhaps there's a need for us to lower the bar a bit so that we can include more people. And, you know, that will, of course, involve perhaps putting up a bit more resources. But it's very important that we bring in as many people as possible, ideas that, you know, may not necessarily have been worked on with the kind of diligence or competence that some have, but I'm sure they can be encouraged. One of the things we're trying to do as government is we're setting up what is called a Creativity and Technology Council. We already have an Industrial and Competitiveness Council, where the likes of Dangote, you know, the bigger businesses already advise on policy. So in the Industrial and Competitiveness Council, I have the privilege of chairing that council. And what happens there is that we have several of the businesses, we have those who are in manufacturing, those who are professionals, even some who are in technology, but not creative, not innovators or startups or anything like that. So we have people who are already established in many of these different areas. And what we try to do with them, because we meet fairly regularly, is to develop policy. Because they can tell us what their challenges are. They repeat so many of the problems that they experience. We're able to work on tax holidays, pioneer status, the kinds of things that mostly big businesses are concerned about. And we've done a bit of work on that. We've shaped a lot of policies, working with these individuals who actually have practical problems. So what we're trying to do now is to set up a Creativity and Technology Advisory Council as well, which is one which will take on people who are like yourselves, people who are startups, who encourage startups, and also people in the creative arts and all of that, people in entertainment also. Now, what we intend to do is also to shape policy, because some of the policies that need to make this environment friendlier and need to make this environment more interesting for those who are in innovation and all of that have to be developed by those who are actually doing the work. Because sometimes, I mean, for instance, we're talking today about payment systems and the difficulties people have with making payments using dollar cards or, you know, using Nigerian cards, etc. Now, these are very peculiar issues, they're peculiar problems. And unless somebody who is actually involved in this sits around a table with policymakers, sits around the table with the Minister of Finance, the CBN governor, with the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, and is able to say this is what the problem is, and we can resolve it easily. at these kinds of meetings. So we're looking forward to doing that. I hope that within the next couple of weeks, we've been planning this for a short while now. And I think we have a meeting where we're trying to bring on board people who we think will be helpful in shaping this process. I'm sure one or two of us here will be involved in that. But within the next couple of weeks, we should have that council set up so that we can start thinking and talking about the various issues. Having said so, I think that really, I mean, when you look at funding for, startups and all of that, some people are doing very good work. Tony Elumelu, for instance, is doing some very interesting work, and I think that that's very good. But we must develop more activity around the public sector. I think the problem with the public sector funding anything, I mean, of course, GEM, we're able to do that with the World Bank and all of that. But I think the problem with the public sector is actually being able to define the scope of this thing. And so I think that a lot of help is going to come from, or will come from businesses like yours, who already have an idea of how these things are done. Because the public sector tends to, probably have more money, but also a very, very little experience, and can just do something that is big and grand, or really doesn't get to the depths that it ought to get to, or to the people that it ought to get to. So we're going to have to work together to make this make sense. And I'm sure that with our social investment policy, with our new technology policy and all that, we should be able to get more people on board, more startups, doing interesting things. I'm absolutely convinced that the future is right here with us, and you guys represent that. And frankly, I know that that this country, where this country is headed, is really a great place. I mean, I can see that every single day. I see that, there's so much innovation, so much creativity, so much energy, and that the country is really moving forward in leaps and bounds. We've been talking about agricultural policy for a while. We're putting a lot of investment behind agriculture as a government. But listen to Thrive Agri today. These guys are doing incredibly creative work in agriculture. So they are today working with about 5,000 farms. And what they're doing is really the kind of micromanaging that is impossible to do without technology. So they're able to tell these people about the weather. They're able to tell them that it's going to rain in 2 days' time, or it'll rain tomorrow, and all of that. So don't go and put your fertilizer in the soil yet, and all sorts of very micro type advice. And this is obviously showing incredible results. Aside from that, those of us who don't want to go near a farm, but like to make money from farming, actually sit down and also just invest our money. So they're crowd funding type activities is just incredibly innovative. And I'm sure that by the time you have the kind of growth that they are looking forward to, it's just going to, there's just going to be some really, great improvement in not just agricultural methods, but also in investment in agriculture. So much money is going to go into agriculture. And I think that it's just, the field is wide open. So much is up there to be done. So much is waiting to happen. So I'm very, very excited. And I wish I were roughly your age, some of you guys here. But I think that I would be a lot more successful as an individual if I had all of the technology and all of it. Although, it's nice to talk about what would have happened, But just to say that I'm really, really proud of what I see here, and greatly encouraged. And I also want to say that you can be sure that we have your back. We're going to be looking at how to help you in every way. Thank you very much.